All right, we are going to solve now what's called a system of equations. Now, if you're not familiar with this word system, what that is telling us is we now have more than one equation, and we want to know what values are true for both equations at the same time. And so the first way that we are going to learn to solve a system is graphically. We're going to graph these so that you can understand what's happening when you solve a system. And what we're going to look for is we are going to graph both of these lines, and we want to see where do the lines intersect. Because where they intersect means that is a point that is on both lines. It means that that point would work in both equations, and that's what's called the solution. So I'm going to graph this using the slope and the y-intercept. This is something you've learned in the past. So both of these lines are given to me already solved for y, meaning that they are in slope-intercept form. So remember, your slope is always the number in front of the x. So for this first line, the slope, which is m, is -1. And since I want to have a ratio, I'm going to write it as -1/1. Just to refresh your memory, slope is always the ratio of the change in the y value versus the change in the x. So for this line, that means the y is changing -1, meaning it's going down 1, and the x is going +1, meaning right 1. And then the y-intercept is the number that is on the end, and so my y-intercept for this first line is -2, so that is the point -2. And what the y-intercept tells me is where does the graph go through the y-axis. Same thing for the second line. My slope is 1/2. So again, the slope is always y over x. So that means I'm going +1 in the y direction, and that means up, and +2 in the x direction, that means right. And then the y-intercept is 0, 4. That is what this number here is telling me. So now that I've extracted that information from both of the equations, I'm going to graph them, and we're going to see where do these intersect. So here we go. Here's my graph paper. And so the first one, the y-intercept is -2. So that means I'm going to go down 2. I'm going to make a nice green dot right here at -2. And then my slope is -1/1. So that means I go down 1 in the y direction and then +1 in the x direction. Make a dot. Down 1 in the y direction, +1 in the x direction. Make a dot. Down 1, +1. And this is just a very fun thing to do. I'm going to go one more time. It's like climbing stairs. Okay, down 1, +1. And so now I'm going to go ahead and connect all these dots. And this right here is my first line. So, whee! There it is. Now, in a different color, just so that you can tell the difference, I'm going to graph the second line. The second line has a y-intercept of 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, make a dot. And then the slope of this one is +1 in the y and then +2 in the x. +1 in the y, +2 in the x. Now, don't worry that we're going farther away from the other line. You can connect those dots now, but if you want to feel even better, remember the equivalent to going up 1 and right is you could also go down the stairs and go down 1 and left 2. So I'm going to go down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2. And I think you can see that there is a point that the graphs overlap, and we're going to see it even better here in just a moment. So the solution to a system of equations is this point right here where the two graphs intersect. And so all I'm going to do now is I'm going to read the ordered pair, and that is going to be our solution. So we're going to write it as an ordered pair. So here's a parenthesis, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 in the -x direction. So that is -4, comma, and then I go up 2, so then that is the value 2. Sorry, I'm writing upside down, so that's not the best 2 you've ever seen, but there we go. That is the point that works in both of the equations. It's called the solution to the system of equations.